Hey guys, and welcome to another video. My name is Pastirmatzis, and today we'll be talking about the question that I get asked very often, and that is, how much money do I need in order to start marketing? Lots of people worry about whether or not they have the right amount of money and whether the capital they have is too little and so on. We're going to be answering that today. Before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and hit the like button as well. Helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm and helps the video go out to a bigger audience. So I would very, very much appreciate your support. Okay, let's dive in. We first have to recognize what type of product you're trying to advertise. So I wouldn't give the same answer to somebody that is trying to promote a $15,000 high ticket item versus somebody that is advertising a product that costs $50 to $80, for example. Obviously, the more expensive your product or service is, the more capital you need to have on the side for marketing in order to test and figure out things. The second thing to keep in mind is how experienced are you? So basically, if you're a total beginner, you're more likely to burn through capital learning things than if you're somebody that has some experience and actually understands what they're doing. And this doesn't just go for Facebook, this goes in general, right? Like, so whether you're pursuing ads on Google or via email marketers and you're basically buying traffic from certain vendors, or you're doing Facebook or whatever, it applies all the same. So let's assume that you're just a total beginner, therefore you're going to burn a bunch of cash. The one thing that I think is very, very important for you to realize is the difference between losing money and actually buying data. In marketing, of course, if you're not careful enough and not prepared well enough, you can lose a bunch of money, meaning that, okay, you're just throwing money at something, trying to make it work, and if it doesn't work, then you don't really gain something from it. In reality, what you should be doing is you should be conducting a bunch of little tests and basically trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. Marketing takes a bunch of reflecting. So basically, okay, you launched 10 different campaigns, they had different targets, there were different ads. You end up seeing what works and what doesn't. You end up making small steps at better understanding your audience and optimizing your ads and processes based on the data that you receive. Therefore, when you spend a couple of grand and you're still not profitable, for example, the way to look at this is not that, hey, look, I lost a couple of grand. The way to look at this is I invested a couple $1,000s and I acquired certain pieces of data that allowed me to better understand my audience so I can make better and more informed decisions in my marketing. Therefore, I'm now more effective and more efficient in the way that I spend the next couple of grand to hopefully have a better result. It's very difficult to answer what the dollar amount is that you have to have in a bank to give you the best chance. But in my personal opinion, you should have at least $2,500 when going at this. So for example, if you have an e-com store, with products ranging from $50 to $80, if you have $2,500, that would allow you to run a series of tests, and basically you will start getting an idea of what works and what doesn't. I think that there is really something to be said about how smart you spend the capital, how efficient you spend the capital. That makes it just a big, big difference. If you're a beginner, there's really something to be said about going out there and looking into the competition and looking into what they're doing and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And again, it takes a lot of reflecting. There are tools out there like AdSpy.com. I will include the link in the description. There's of course Facebook, where you can just access your competitors' fan pages and see what their active ads are. There are different tools that you can start using so you can actually see what your competitors are running right now and what they have run in the past, and you can start taking some information without spending your own capital. The reality is that other people out there have already spent this capital and they have optimized their campaigns and ads and their landing pages and so on and the user experience. audience, if you're smart enough so you can look through and basically figure out why they're running ads the way they're running ads, why they have constructed their landing pages the way they have, and so on, then you can get ahead of the game without actually having to spend a bunch of your own capital, a bunch of the 2,500 that we were just talking about. So, you can figure this all out by yourself. Also, though marketing is something that takes a lot of time, meaning that as somebody that's run campaigns in the 5 figures a day and multi-5 figures a day, I need to be in front of a computer or have one of my devices that can check the ad spend almost at all times. With that said, that doesn't mean that you have to be unemployed in order to do marketing, right? Not by any means. I know a lot of people that had full-time jobs and did marketing on the side, and eventually they were making enough from marketing to where they could, drop the full-time job and basically just sustain their living and their expenses just through marketing, and did great. It's totally possible. Again, it comes back to how efficient you are with the money that you're spending. Another thing you need to understand too is that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme to where you're throwing $2,500 and you have some sort of guarantee or high chance to win. Statistically, most people that get into the marketing world fail, and this is completely normal. It's a very, very competitive world. It's a very competitive space. That's something you need to be aware of and have the right expectations anyway from the get-go. I'm not saying you should set yourself up to fail. Right the opposite. I'm telling you that if you prepare yourself correctly and you're efficient when you start, then you're giving yourself the highest chances at having some sort of success. But at the same time, you shouldn't have the expectation that you're going at this and you will for sure win right the first time. This is why I think that people that actually work a job are at a big advantage. If you're unemployed and you're on your last $1,000 or your last $2,000 and you're thinking, I want to do marketing because that's basically my best chance at making it in life, I would tell you that this is a very, 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 very big gamble. I do think that people that have jobs and have an active flow of income have a much better chance at being able to make this happen. Of course, you should have a certain amount of capital that you can deploy in marketing and deploy in campaigns, but at the same time, having that active income will make you feel, of course, safer at taking some bigger risk, and at the same time, you will be able to supplement what you're doing with your active income. I believe having an income is a big, big must in order to start this and being able to do this, right? The marketing world is something that evolves all the time. So Facebook comes up with new rules, the algorithm changes, there's this, there's that, there's the other. It's not as if you should go and throw $500 this month and then $500 the next quarter and so on. This is no way to learn marketing. You need to be actively engaged in the space. One of the things that I didn't mention before is that the barrier to entry in the marketing world has increased significantly over the last few years. From the way that Facebook collects data, to the targeting capabilities, to the GDPRs of the world, to iOS 14.5 and iOS 15 updates, a bunch of those things have just made things more complicated. Therefore, it has become for sure a little more complicated to get started. You should educate yourself in all of those things before getting going. At the end of the day, when you're starting out a campaign, you want to make sure that you're measuring absolutely everything. And if you're not measuring everything, then you're just wasting data. If you're wasting data, you're not doing your best to understand the audience and have every key data point that will allow you to make the best decisions possible to turning your advertising campaign profitable. I often get asked, hey look, I only have $1,000 or $2,000. Should I pay somebody in order to learn? I think networking and putting yourself around the right people is very, very important. It's imperative to your success. Do I think you should pay somebody? In most cases, I would say no. There are some courses, there are some paid groups that you can become a part of that can be worth it, yes. But paying somebody one-on-one, for the most part, in my personal experience, was not a good idea. And especially if you have a very low budget, like a couple of grand or something like that, you don't want to give that to somebody. Marketers are very good at pitching to new people in the industry and, you know, basically telling them, hey, look, you know, you need to pay somebody to put you ahead and things like this. The reality is trial and error, in my opinion, is going to get you a lot further than paying somebody 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 grand in some cases to do a lot of the work for you. There's a lot of things you can do with 5 figures, a lot of things. And there's a lot of things you can do with a few $1,000s. Again, if you're efficient and organized enough. If I were you and I was trying to dive into the marketing space, I would definitely start by joining the Facebook Ad Buyers. It's the biggest marketing Facebook group that's free of charge on Facebook. So, you know, I will include the link in the description. Make sure to check it out and also join in there. Lots of good content, lots of people asking questions. It's a very active group, and like I'm sure that this is something that you'll be able to value, you know, because at the same time, you're not just able to get in there and ask questions, you're able to see what questions others have asked that probably you didn't think of, and look at their responses and look at all the different people that have responded with their own experiences. I think it can be very valuable for you. Another one is the Facebook Blueprint. So Facebook has put together a course. It's a free course that anybody can enroll into. I believe Facebook gives you some like little certificates too when you pass it. This way you'll be able to go like through the policies and like through a bunch of things that Facebook's put together there. So I will also be including a link in the description below. So make sure to check that out. Definitely pass the course as well. So to recap, I think that you would need at least $2,500. It very much depends on your experience and how much the product that you're advertising costs. You should have another job or another active income that you can basically put more money into your campaigns if needed. And you should be going into this with the right mindset. And basically you should be as organized as humanly possible. And you should try to be as efficient as humanly possible and basically gathering as many data points as humanly possible before you even start spending money. That would be my advice. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think that more than $2,500 is needed in order to get started in a campaign? If you have any questions at all marketing related, leave them down in the comment section. I'm happy to answer them for you, or you can reach out to me via my website. I'll be also including that in the description, so you can click on the link and fill out an application, and we can get in touch and we can even schedule a consultation. The last thing, guys, we started this channel very recently. I would very much appreciate if you can hit the subscribe button and hit the like button as well. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers as soon as possible, so your support is very much appreciated. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for sticking around, and I'll be seeing you on the next video.